Good evening. It is Tuesday, and we're going to read Mark 5 today since I read Mark 6 yesterday, so we're having to kind of flip things around. So today I'm going to read Mark chapter 6, and we'll go ahead and get started. Jesus heals a man with a demon. They came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gerasenes, and when Jesus, now I'm assuming I'm saying that right, but we'll go on. And when Jesus had stepped out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. He lived among the tombs, and no one could bind him any more, not even with a chain, for he had often been bound with shackles and chains. But he wrenched the chains apart, and he broke the shackles in pieces. And I'm sure that they did that to keep him safe, because he was hurting himself and others. This was not being cruel. This was trying to keep him from hurting himself and other people. No one had the strength to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and on the mountains, he was always crying out and cutting himself with stones. And when he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and fell down before him. And crying out with a loud voice, he said, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you by God, do not torment me." For he was saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." That was the demon speaking to him, telling him, don't torment me. And Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" And the demon replied, "My name is Legion, for we are many." Now, legion means thousands. And he begged him earnestly not to send them out of the country. Now, a great herd of pigs was feeding there on the hillside, and they begged him, saying, "Send us to the pigs, let us enter them." So he gave them permission, and the unclean spirits came out and entered the pigs, and the herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned in the sea. The herdsmen fled and told it in the city and in the country, and people came to see what it was that had happened. And they came to Jesus and saw the demon-possessed man, the one who had had the legion, sitting there clothed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. And those who had seen it described to them what had happened to the demon-possessed man and to the pigs. And they began to beg Jesus to depart from their region. And he was getting into the boat. As he was getting into the boat, the man who had been possessed with demons begged him that he might be with him. And he did not permit him, but said to him, "Go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you." And he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and everyone marveled. Now let's go back up here a little bit. When the people from the city came out and met Jesus, and the people said, "This is Jesus, and this was the demon-possessed man," and Jesus caused all those demons to go into those pigs, and the pigs went in the water and drowned. Now, yes, that was somebody's livelihood. That was somebody's money. But if that was your child, how much money would it be worth to you, or even just a friend? How much money would it be worth it to you for your friend to be freed from such a horrible fate as to having to live alone, not able to have any company, not ever able to see your loved ones or anything else, just to live alone and be tormented day and night, cutting yourself and starving yourself and probably doing all kind of other things? How much money would it be worth to you for that person to be free? But these people felt like he shouldn't have done that, their pigs were worth money. So, take that as you will. And the next section is titled, Jesus Heals a Woman and Jairus' Daughter. And when Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a great crowd gathered about him, and he was beside the sea. Then came one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name, and seeing him, he fell down at his feet and implored him earnestly, saying, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her, so that she may be made well and live." And he went with him. and a great crowd followed him and thronged about him. And there was a woman who had had a discharge of blood for 12 years. Now, I don't know if that was her period or if she just had a sore that wouldn't quit bleeding. I don't know what it was, but she was considered unclean all that time. Unclean, living away apart from your family for 12 years. You can't be, back then, if you were sick or if you were on your period or if you just had a baby, you were considered unclean and you had to stay away for a while. But this woman had been going through this for 12 years. She couldn't go home to see her family. She couldn't go visit her friends. She had to stay alone. And who had suffered much under many physicians and had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard the reports about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, "If I touch even his garments, I will be made well." She was risking her life because they could have taken her out and stoned her because she was considered unclean. But she felt like it was worth it. She wanted to either get healed or be dead. And immediately the flow of blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. And Jesus, perceiving in himself that power had gone out from him, immediately turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my garments?" Now, do you think Jesus really didn't know who touched his garments? I think he knew. I think he knew exactly who touched them. And he knew what kind of shape she was in, and he knew how much her faith was. His disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing around you, and yet you say, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. He was waiting for her to testify. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." While he was still speaking, there came from the ruler's house some who said, "Your daughter is dead. Why trouble the teacher any further?" But overhearing what they said, Jesus said to the ruler of the synagogue, "Do not fear, only believe." And he allowed no one to follow him except Peter and James and John, the brother of James. They came to the house of the ruler of the synagogue, and Jesus saw a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. And when he had entered, he said to them, "Why are you making a commotion and weeping? The child is not dead, but is sleeping." And they laughed at him. But he put them all outside and took the child's father and mother and those who were with him and went in where the child was. Taking her by the hand, he said, "Talitha cumi," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, rise." And immediately the girl got up and began walking, for she was 12 years of age. And they were immediately overcome with amazement. And he strictly charged them that no one should know this, and told them to give her something to eat. So now there's a little puzzle here. Why did he tell the man that he delivered from the demons? Why did he tell him to go? You go and tell the people that you know what God has done for you. But he told those people, keep it a secret what I've done for you. Was it because of the location? Was it because he felt like the Jews wouldn't believe it? Did he feel like, I don't know what Jesus' thought was, but he had a reason, because Jesus has a reason for everything he does. Those are good Bible. Those are good stories to study and ask God to explain to you. I don't understand everything that Jesus does. I can't imagine any of us does. But I know he wants us to trust him. I know he wants us to listen to him, and I know he wants us to obey him. So, listen when he tells you to do something. One of these days I'm going to be able to tell you a little bit of the testimony that's been going on here the last few days. I'm still trying to decide how I need to tell it. Doesn't make me look very good, I'll tell you that. But I've learned my lesson. And about being obedient and doing things when God tells you to do something. We talked about it tonight at Bible study. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Tomorrow we will be doing Mark 7, so that we'll be back on track. Today was Mark 5, but yesterday we did 6. So anyway, thank y'all for joining me tonight, and I will see y'all tomorrow.